Okay. Henry Moseley was the guy who was able, Mendeleev knew he had a problem with this table. Okay, he knew there was a problem with this table. He couldn't figure out what the problem was. He knew somebody would find out one of these days a way to correct it. And it wasn't too long after Mendeleev came up with that periodic table that Henry Moseley came along. What Moseley was able to do, first of all, they knew that protons existed. It's common sense that protons exist at that point. Because if you have negatively charged electrons, somewhere in that atom, you have to have positively charged particles to balance out the charge to make it zero. Okay, so they knew that protons existed. They knew they weren't in the electron cloud, so there had to be something in that nucleus. Well, technology got better, and Henry Moseley was able to discover that in that nucleus were positively charged protons. Okay, they knew those existed. He proved they existed, but more than anything, he was able to count with technology the number of protons in elements, and he discovered that each element has a specific number of protons that only that element has. Hydrogen will always have just one proton. That's what makes it hydrogen. In fact, it has one proton. Lithium will have three. That's what makes it lithium, and so forth. And what he did when they were able to determine the atomic number, the number of protons in an atom, when they were able to determine each element's atomic number, he redid Mendeleev's periodic table and put them in order by atomic number rather than mass. He did it by increasing atomic number rather than mass. And it flipped these two around where they should be. Okay, tellurium was here, iodine was there. It flipped them where they should be by putting them by number of protons.
So those are really like the only two that are messed up.
Well,
Cobalt, nickel.
got cobalt, nickel, and there might be some more. It was just a few though. And he knew there was something wrong with the way he was doing it. It just worked so well for everything else, and he wasn't able to figure out what was wrong. But he did know there was a problem. And Henry Moseley, a few years later, was able to find the problem. Okay, so now everything worked out on Mendeleev's table that Moseley had adapted. Okay, all the elements were arranged into vertical columns. Every element in those vertical columns had similar chemical and physical properties. Now, why do all the elements in vertical columns have similar properties? There's a reason. They all have the same number of what? Valence electrons. That's what determines how an atom behaves, what type of properties it has. All of these are soft, very highly reactive metals because they have one valence electron. These are not as soft, they're metals, they're not as soft and not as reactive because they have two. You get over here in 4, these elements aren't very reactive at all. They can react, but they're not very reactive on their own because they have 4 and so forth. All of these don't react with anything because they have 8. Okay. So, the periodic law that had started with John Newland's was proven true. Newland's was right, his law of octaves was right, even though nobody believed him at the time. Can I move this down? A little. Can I? Yes? No? No? Okay. We'll wait a minute. We'll wait for that. So now to this day, if element 500 existed, something with 500 protons, we could, keep